Hello everyone, I'm Ronald Mehta and welcome back to Digiate.com. We are your digital aid and we provide free courses on the subject of business and management. This video is a comprehensive take on the subject of strategic management that falls under the gamut of strategy. The video covers close to 10 to 12 topics on strategic management, live examples and case studies.
In this video, we are going to cover the topic on strategy versus tactics. Now let's start with the introduction on strategy versus tactics. As stated by Sun Tzu, strategy without tactics is the slowest route to victory. Tactics without strategy is a noise before defeat. Strategy is the overall plan. It is a collection of targets. It is the total of the instructions that are meant to achieve an objective. Tactics, on the other hand, are smaller individual goals that need to be achieved to follow the strategy. Tactics are the things that need to be done to follow the instructions of the strategy. To put it simply, strategy is the overall plan that aims for an objective. Tactics are how that plan is carried out and supported. Now looking at strategy briefly. Strategy aims for long-term goals and tactics for the immediate targets. Both these concepts have their origin in the military. Nowadays, they are used in both professional and personal lives. Strategy and tactics, they end up getting confused for each other. They are used to mean the same thing when they're discussing a target. However, they imply different things, particularly in marketing. Moving on to tactics. The etymology of the word tactic from ancient Greek, it implies the art of arrangement. A tactic is made up of one task or a bunch of tasks. It tries to achieve an immediate target. The term is used to describe conceptual actions in many fields. Some of these are military-related, protest, or in business. It is also used in sports such as chess, various competitions, etc. Now let's look at strategy versus tactic from marketing's perspective. Let's look at strategic marketing. Strategic marketing focuses on plans like building a new brand, targeting a new customer base, growing one's business, etc. These are all targets meant to be achieved in the future. The finance wing of any company plays a crucial role at this stage. Their task is to figure out if the firm has the finances to support the strategy. Moving on to tactical marketing. The strategy sets out the long-term targets of the company. Tactical marketing must figure out how to go about it. Tactical marketing consists of various tasks. Some of these are website making, lead generation, advertising, sales promotion, and follow-ups. These tasks and tactical actions can be started once the strategy has been decided. So to conclude, both are crucial to any marketing strategy. They have to complement each other. The strategy devises a plan first, and then the tactics flesh out the details. Now moving on to an example of strategy versus tactics. In this case, the brand Burger King. Burger King's overall strategy is to beat other players in the fast food segment such as McDonald's, Domino's Pizza, Taco Bell, Pizza Hut, KFC, etc. That's the one overall strategy that Burger King has in mind. But to do that, there are several tactics that Burger King follows. Some of them involve making fun of its competitors. Now let's look at some tactics. First, Whopper secret that happened in 2019. Burger King has been trying to market its trademark Whopper as a larger and superior alternative to McDonald's Big Mac burger. In 2019, Burger King upped the ante with chief competitor McDonald's by unveiling the Whopper secret. It turned out that all Burger King ads that year had a Whopper on them, also had a Big Mac right behind. The idea was that since the Whopper is bigger, people will not be able to see the Big Mac. This particular move was stage managed by BBH London. The next tactic, #NeverTrustAClown, that came up in 2017. Burger King cast in on the success of the movie adaptation of Stephen King's It. They took another swipe at McDonald's. The horror film was released in 2017 and was a huge success. It famously featured a scary clown. Burger King saw its opportunity at the movie premiere in Hamburg, Germany. Just before the credits started rolling, the Burger King giant displayed two spotlights. The first of these said, "The moral is never trust a clown," and the second flashing up the Burger King logo. The ads came out of the blue. They provided a healthy dose of humor after a scary feature. It was also another swipe at its arch-rival McDonald's. The Burger King giant took the help of German-based Grabas and Partner to pull off the stunt. One more tactic, where again Burger King trolled McDonald's, but this time on Valentine's Day. The burger giant assured its customers that they would get a burger for every selfie they took with the McDonald's mascot, Ronald. The ad only showed Ronald McDonald sitting by himself in many places. There's a sad music playing as the text appears on the screen which says, "It sucks to be lonely, especially on Valentine's Day." It made the mascot look dejected. Viewers were asked to take selfies with him, so he is no longer lonely. Burger King tweeted the video saying, "We have found the loneliest man in the world, and he's been right in front of us the whole time. Go ahead, give him company, take a picture or two, tag @Burger King India, and we will give you a free Whopper this Valentine's Day. #lonely no more." So that's it folks, this brings an end to the topic on strategy versus tactics. These are the list of sources and links referred to for the content in the video.
In this video, we are going to cover the topic
on 7 tactics of marketing. Let's start with the introduction. The 7 tactics of marketing entail product, service, brand, price, incentives, communication, and distribution. Let's look at each one of them briefly with suitable examples. Let's start with product. The practical factors of a product are demonstrated by the product aspect of the offering. Once the products are created, they get transferred from one person to another. To demonstrate that product is superior to its competitors, various tactics are created in the design, characteristics, line, and other aspects of the product. Products are frequently divided into non-durable and durable products. Example of Lego products. All Lego parts like the beams, bricks, minifigures, axles, etc. are manufactured keeping in mind the precision to the exact degree. It is vital for the pieces to have the correct amount of flexibility and endurance to stick when the components are snapped together. The pieces need to stick together till force is applied to pull them apart. Moving forward, Lego elements are constructed with a tolerance of 2 microns so that they can have the correct clutch power. Moving on to service. The service element of the offering is a practical feature, but the ownership cannot be changed. The consumers acquire the right to use the service for a duration of time. Services are created and consumed at the same time. Services and the service provider are not 2 different units, they are inseparable. The 2 components of services and service provider cannot be stored. The time of creation and delivery of services are always the same. Depending on the interaction taking place between the service provider and the customer, the quality of service varies. Services depend heavily on the experience of the customer and credence because of the intangible characteristics of services. Looking at an example of Ritz-Carlton, the Credo. Ritz runs luxury hotels and 5-star resorts all around the world. It has exemplified an organizational culture on the basis of outstanding customer service. Right from the company's early days, Ritz established and followed its gold standards. These gold standards are the secret to their exceptional customer service, which has set it apart from the rest. Gold standards comprise the philosophy and values by which the brand operates. The gold standard includes the motto, the credo, the 3 steps of service, the service values, and the employee promise. Talking about the credo, the company vows to provide the finest personal service and facilities for its guests, who will always enjoy a warm, relaxed, yet refined ambience with the credo. Next, brand. A brand can be created only by the persistence and determination of a genius. A collection of associations and special marks which set apart the offering from its competitor is called a brand. A value is created which goes beyond the product and services facet of the offering. There has been a shift from the product and services to brands due to the growth in commoditization. When a product is priced low and the customer involvement in the purchase is not high either, that's when a brand name plays an important role in the selling of any product. Individual branding, sub-branding, etc. are the various tactics applied to branding. Moving on to the example, Tesla. Toyota is ahead of Tesla by a large margin when it comes to volume and revenue. Toyota sold approximately 30 times more cars than Tesla in 2019. Their revenue was more than 10 times higher than that of Tesla. Despite this, Tesla became the world's most valuable car maker in July 2020. They overtook Toyota, company from Japan, after Tesla's stock hit a record-breaking high. Tesla shares reached north $1,100, reaching a market value of $200 billion. This was approximately $4 billion more than Toyota's stock market value. Moving on to the other tactic of price. A company demands a certain amount in monetary terms from its customers, distributors, wholesalers, retailers, and collaborators. This amount of money in exchange for the advantages delivered by the offering is called price. It is essentially what one has to pay for the value received in return. It is the only tactic that earns revenue for the company. All other tactics are cost to the company. Cost, competition, and demand help determine the price of a product. Loss leader pricing, price signaling, everyday low pricing are some of the various tactics applied to the pricing strategy in order to enhance the sales of the product. Example, Walmart's everyday low pricing strategy. Since the company incorporated the everyday low pricing strategy into its slogan, Walmart has become widely associated with the concept in North America. Walmart's pricing strategy is the reason for its growth and magnanimous success. EDLP, as stated earlier, stands for Everyday Low Prices. The Walmart store was first opened in the year 1962. During that time, Kmart was a dominant player in the market and they used the high-low pricing strategy. How does Walmart maintain EDLP? EDLC or Everyday Low Cost formula has helped Walmart maintain EDLP. The main strategies are use of bargaining power over suppliers, obviously, low operational cost, direct sourcing from manufacturers, and high volume of sales. Moving on to the next tactic of incentives. An offering's value is enhanced for the customers or collaborators and employees with the help of incentive tools. Giving incentive to customers results in enhanced sales. Giving incentives to collaborators helps in pushing sales. Incentives can also be used to motivate the employees to sell more. Incentives like a discount, volume, coupon rebate, or price reduction are monetary incentives. Incentives like rewards, contests, and premium are non-monetary incentives. Looking at an example of Apple incentives to its employees. Apple declared free share for all its employees in 2015. These stocks were known as restricted stock units. The initial grants for the stock ranged from $1,000 to $2,000. They always had identical stock options which were available for their senior executives even before 2015. Apple has a reputation for providing wonderful perks to its employees. Apple staffers get a yearly 25% discount on the purchase of an iPod, computer, or iPad as reported by Glassdoor. Employees can get $250 off of an iPad or $500 off a Mac every 3 years. They also offer 50% of the Apple software. Depending on the type of product, Apple also offers other discount for the family and friends of the employees. Communication. Informing the potential and the current buyer about the offering's features and specific details is communication. It plays an extremely crucial role in the positioning of the offering. The intangible features like guarantee, warranty, etc. are highlighted through communication. Information about the brand, price, product, distribution, and incentives is given to the customers through communication. A product faces the risk of failing in the market immediately after its launch if it is communicated or positioned wrongly. Example, Coca-Cola. The Coca-Cola company spent $4.24 billion, a record amount, on global advertising just in the year 2019 alone. According to data collected by LearnBonds.com, the advertising budget for the company in the last 5 years was $20 billion. Generally, the beverage manufacturer giant utilizes its advertising budget in print, television, radio, and other advertisements, point-of-sale merchandising, sales promotion, and marketing campaign. According to data, over the last 6 years, Coca-Cola spent an average of $4 billion annually on advertising. And finally, the tactic of distribution. Channel through which the offering is delivered to the customers is called distribution. A distribution channel can be designed by a company in many ways. Products, brands, services, incentives, and prices can be delivered through a well-designed distribution channel. For instance, a variety of models can embody retail distribution channels. Example, the franchise model, as done by McDonald's, personal selling by Amway, and online retailers, example, Amazon. So that's it, folks. This brings an end to the topic on 7 tactics of marketing. These are some of the sources and links referred to for the content in the video. In this video, we are going to cover the topic on strategies for developing a business model. There are 2 strategies. Let's start with the first one, top-down business model generation. The top-down strategy usually starts from a strategic analysis. This strategic analysis aims to recognize the target market and to develop value product service for the target market. There are 2 parts. First, it can start with a consumer analysis that strives to recognize a need which is not fulfilled by the competition. In such a scenario, the manager can begin by asking questions like, what main difficulties are faced by customers? The company can solve which of these problems better than the adversary companies? Second, it can analyze company resources that seek to detect the core competencies and strategic assets which could lead to excellent competitive benefit. In these situations, the manager can begin with questions like, which are our special resources, strategic assets, core competencies? Which of those resources can develop exemplary customer value and market value? Which needs of the customers can be addressed with these resources? In both the parts, the needs of the customer and resource of the company should be addressed so that the company can develop a suitable business model. If unique resources are available, but there is no customer need, it will not create a viable business model. Looking at the examples of the top-down business model adopted by companies. First, Apple. Apple's approach to develop new offerings can be taken into consideration for a top-down business model. There is a clear-cut identified need of the customer for which Apple designed its product. For instance, Apple's revolutionary Apple Watch Series 6 and AirPods, and how can we forget the Apple iPod? Next, Tesla's battery. Tesla featured a new design called tablets in its new battery cell. According to the company's claim, the battery will deliver 16% more range compared to the older battery cell. It would also generate 6 times the power and 5 times the energy. Tesla signaled a huge shift which could potentially reduce a significant number in the price of the electric vehicle. This huge benefit will be made possible because of the internally produced batteries for the vehicles that Tesla has announced. The third example of Amazon's one-click patent and the Amazon Prime delivery options. Billions of dollars were generated in revenue through the one-click patent for Amazon.com since 1999. The one-click shopping removed the biggest friction point in the process of completing an online purchase, and this major friction point was the checkout process. In 1997, the one-click patent was filed by Amazon, and it was granted this request in 1999. Amazon was able to back excessively high concessions from its existing consumer because of this innovation. A nearly frictionless checkout process is created as a payment, and the shipping information of the customer is already stored on the Amazon servers. But on September 11, 2017, Amazon's US patent ended. Another example under the top-down business model is of Under Armour's fabric. Kevin Plank was a 24-year-old former special teams captain of the University of Maryland's football team. He founded Under Armour in 1996. Plank's t-shirt worn under his jersey always got sweat-soaked, but he noticed that the compression shorts he wore during the practice stayed dried. This became his inspiration to create a t-shirt from moisture-wicking synthetic fabric. After graduating, Plank developed his first prototype of the shirt. He distributed it among his Maryland teammates and friends who went ahead to play in the NFL. Very soon, the design was perfected to create a new t-shirt which was built from microfibers. It wicked moisture and kept athletes dry, cool, and light. Now moving on to the other business model generation, the bottom-up model. The bottom-up strategy begins with designing a particular characteristics of a product or service. This is then followed by recognizing the target customers whose unfulfilled needs can be met by the company's product or service. The advancement of this model completely starts with the R&D process. This leads to the improvement of a specific element of the product or the development of new ones. Thus, in this model, the advancement begins with product development and not the intention to solve the needs of the customer, thus called bottoms up. Here, the manager can begin by asking questions like, what improvements can be made to the current offerings? How can new advancement in technology benefit the existing product service? Or how can new offerings be developed using new technology? The examples in this case, the first one, the Apple iPad. Apple, rather than making a completely new product to address the unsatisfied customer need, played it different. It created the iPad, which was primarily driven by the technology that already existed and was known, in this case the iPhone. Next, automobile companies. This trend is completely followed by passenger vehicle companies. For instance, hatchback models are introduced in sedan sections with subtle modification. In this case, Polo being the hatchback and Vento being the sedan. And finally, this approach is also followed by beverage companies, for example Coca-Cola, which came out with Coca-Cola Zero and Diet Coke, and also by Cadbury, where it had the normal Cadbury Dairy Milk, and then came the premium version, Cadbury Dairy Milk Silk. So that's it, folks. This brings an end to the topic on strategies for developing a business model. These are some of the sources and links referred to for the content in the video. In this video, we are going to cover the topic on strategically managing profits. Let's start with the introduction. The main elements of the company's bottom line must be understood by a manager. The focus and impact on the changes must be prioritized in order to have a bigger impact on the profit. Example, Amazon. Amazon profits were doubled during the pandemic. Amazon doubled its net profit from $2.6 billion in 2019 to about $5.2 billion in 2020. Before this figure was calculated, the company spent $4 billion on incremental COVID-19 related cost in the quarter to help keep the employees safe and deliver products to customers, according to Bezos. To the executive surprise, Amazon customers didn't just buy low-profit goods like groceries, but also purchased more profitable softline category goods like clothing and hardline category goods like electronics. This helped the company eclipse the previous $3.6 billion profit that they earned in the first quarter of 2019 and in turn set a new record profit. Now moving on to the methods of strategically managing profits, starting by increasing sales revenue. In order to achieve long-term profitability, increasing sales revenue is a common approach. Internal resources can also be used to achieve sales revenue. Organic growth is an approach where internal resources are used. Companies can merge with other companies in order to increase sales revenue. However, the most prevalent sales growth strategy is organic growth. Moving further, the increasing sales revenue approach entails two approaches. A. Increasing sales revenue by growing sales volume. The basic strategies on the most general level for increasing sales volume are: first, market growth strategy. This attracts customers that are new to the category and in turn increases sales volume. Example, Ferrero in 2018-2019 registered a healthy sales growth since it was buoyed by the Indian customers' love for sweets. The other is the steal share strategy. This is a strategy that attracts customers who are already using the competitor's offering in order to increase sales volume.
Example, Burger King's Whopper Detour campaign steered people away from McDonald's using geofencing and promoted Burger King's redesigned app. And finally, market penetration strategy. A company can also increase its sales volume by increasing the number of products purchased by the customer by the company's own consumers or by attracting new customers to the offerings category. Example in this case is Amazon.com. Now moving on to the other approach in increasing sales revenue, that is by optimizing price. Setting the price is the most important part of managing sales revenue. It is dependent on customers' reaction to change in prices. On the one hand, increasing the price can increase profit margins and have a positive impact on profit. But on the other hand, it can also have a negative impact and decrease sales volume since buyers might not associate with the high price. The price can be lowered in order to increase sales revenue. The negative impact of the decrease in profits is lower than the positive impact of the increase in sales volume. An example in this case for price optimization is Amazon. The prices of products are changed by Amazon 2.5 million times in a day. This means the average price of the product listed on Amazon changes every 10 minutes. This is about 50 times more than the Best Buy and Walmart. Even though a lot of customers are annoyed when the price of a product drops immediately after they buy it, this tactic has helped increase Amazon's profit by 25%. Moving on to the other method of strategically managing profits, and that is by lowering cost. Lowering cost is the alternative strategy to grow profits. The cost of the company can be divided into 4 parts: cost of goods sold, research and development cost, marketing cost, and miscellaneous cost. Let's look at each one of them briefly. Lowering the cost of goods sold. The cost that is directly related to creating the services and goods to be sold is referred to as cost of goods sold. This can be fixed cost and variable cost. The cost of turning raw material into goods and the cost of raw materials is the variable cost. The cost of fixed equipment, like the cost of fixed asset, and depreciation of all equipment is called fixed cost. The 2 ways of lowering the cost of goods sold are: first, the cost of inputs that are used in the development of the company's offering, like labor, raw material, and logistics, can be lowered. Another, using alternate technologies that are cost effective, switching suppliers, and outsourcing are some ways in which this cost can be lowered. Next, lowering the R&D cost. R&D cost is another cost that can be lowered. The fixed cost there is important for designing the company offering is research. A significant portion of every company is dedicated to R&D. Adopting technologies that shorten the development cycle of products, managing labor cost, and reducing the equipment cost can be a way to decrease this cost. Third, lowering marketing cost. The business model of many companies have higher costs that are dedicated to marketing. A very large portion of the overall cost of companies like Coca-Cola is reserved for marketing. Customer-focused promotions such as coupons, price reductions, sweepstakes, rebates, and premiums are included in this. Advertising in various media like radio, television, online, print, event advertising, out of home, point of purchase, PR expenditure, and digital marketing all fall under communication expenditure. Next, by lowering miscellaneous cost. In addition to decreasing the cost of R&D expenditures, marketing expenses, and cost of goods sold, the company also needs to decrease its miscellaneous and other cost. These prevalent strategies can be used to lower companies' cost along with lowering admin cost and legal cost by companies to gain economies of scale. Finally, an example of Walmart for lowering cost. Walmart slightly tweaks how the business runs and saves millions of dollars. By changing the process of purchase of shopping bags, $60 million is saved annually by Walmart. It makes the vest worn by its workers with recycled material and in turn cuts its cost by 15%. Walmart is trying to centralize the way it maintains equipment and increase its energy efficiency and in turn saving $100 million annually. Walmart said previously that it saved $20 million by changing its floor wax. It also saved $200 million by changing the light bulbs in its parking lots and stores. So that's it, folks. This brings an end to the topic on strategically managing profits. These are some of the sources and links referred to for the content in the video. In this video, we are going to cover the topic on managing product lines. Let's start with the introduction. Current market shares can be gained, value for target customers can be created, and the current market position can be sustained by companies through product lines. Competitive product line strategies entail: first, the fighting brand strategy; second, the sandwich strategy; and third, the good, better, best strategy. Let's look at each one of them briefly along with suitable examples. Let's start with the fighting brand strategy. A low-price fighting brand is launched by a company to compete with its rivals in this kind of strategy. The competitor's price is matched or undercut by a fighting brand. Example, the company assumes that there are two types of buyers in this strategy, the ones that are focused on quality and the ones focused on the price before quality. In this strategy, for the price-conscious buyers, the company introduces low-quality, low-price offerings while the original offering's value proposition remains the same. Example, Apple iPhone SE for the Indian markets. The new iPhone SE was released in India by Apple. This was intended to target the mid-segment users of Android and also the seekers who aspired to buy an iPhone. This new device looked like the iPhone 8 and had the power of iPhone 11. It was priced at just Rs 42,500 in the Indian market. The new iPhone was assembled by Wistron, an Apple supplier, at its Bengaluru facility in India. Mainly because of attractive price point, this Apple iPhone found good traction in the Indian market. The other example, Gillette launches the new Guard 3 with 3 blades in India for less than $1. After launching Gillette Guard for Indian male consumers to shave at home, Gillette launched Guard 3. The innovative product provides excellent and safer shave with 3 blades. Priced at ₹60, Guard 3 is exceptionally affordable, that is about less than $1. Guard 3 is part of Gillette's vast lineup of disposable and system razors, trimmers and shaving products. The wide range of offerings further the company's commitment to producing the best quality razor blades. Moving on to the next strategy, the sandwich strategy. Product line levels are introduced in the strategy, learning that involves low price offerings and high quality offerings that sandwich low price competitors. In the strategy, the extension of product line is downscaled and existing offering is upscaled. Since both sandwich strategy and fighting brand strategy involve low price offerings, they are very similar to each other. However, the sandwich strategy is different in a way that apart from just introducing a downscale offering, it also repositions the prime offering by making it more upscale. Some of the more price sensitive customers are lost to low price competitors, whereas the rest of customers are generally more quality oriented and less price sensitive. These quality oriented customers are the ones who want to stay with the company while they upscale the brand. Let's look at an example. FedEx. FedEx and the United States Postal Service at one point were both trying to develop most alluring express or overnight delivery choices for their customers. FedEx first introduced its overnight delivery service. This was priced at $12. The USPS countered this by announcing express mail at $8.95. FedEx then executed the sandwich strategy rather than lowering their prices to content. This was done in order to appeal to a wider market. They updated their overnight delivery option to notify customers of the time and date of their package arrival. This service was called priority shipping and the price was increased to $13. Responding to this, FedEx updated their standard option by adding morning and afternoon deliveries. However, the cost was kept to $9, almost identical to the competitor's price. Because of this strategy, USPS was left sandwiched in the middle. It left very little room for them to compete with FedEx. And finally, to the third strategy, good, better, best strategy. In this strategy, the core brand is preserved, a downscale offering is introduced as a fighting brand. Along with that, an upscale offering is introduced as a premium brand. Since it involves the launching of low price offering, it is similar to the sandwich strategy. A 3-tier product line with a downscale offering, the original offering, and the upscaled offering is introduced in the good, better, best strategy. Example, Armani. Giorgio Armani, the esteemed Italian fashion house, was established in 1975. The company has since then created multiple lines to win a broad range of people. For instance, in the good category, it is the Armani Exchange, which is affordable price range. Then comes the better strategy, which is Emporio Armani, the medium price range. And in the best, it is Giorgio Armani, high-end range. Understanding them further, starting with Giorgio Armani, this label is Armani's high-end signature brand. It specializes in ready-to-wear clothing for men and women. It is a high price point line. It is not easy to find it in a store. They also create a scent and cosmetic range. Emporio Armani is also a ready-to-wear label. It is aimed at younger consumers. It has multiple celebrity endorsement and it is comparably priced lower, thus easier to buy. Armani Exchange is a mass market option of Armani's for fashion-conscious consumers. It's easily available. The price point is more affordable compared to the earlier two brands. And the final example of BBK Electronics, their Realme brand of affordable price range fall in the good strategy. Oppo and Vivo take care of the medium price range, thus falling under the better strategy. And OnePlus is their high-end range falling in the best strategy. Well, that's it folks. This brings an end to the topic on managing product lines. These are some of the sources and links referred to for the content in the video. In this video, we are going to cover the topic on managing product line cannibalization. Let's start with the introduction. There is always some expectation for the company's new extended product line to create extra revenue. The new offering is expected to do so by overtaking the competitor shares or by bringing in new users into the category. But in actuality, the possibility could be a little different. It could be a possible side effect that the new line would not only steal the competitor share but also cut into its own current offerings. This is called cannibalization. Cannibalization is a predicament where the sales of a company's offerings come at the cost of sales of another offering from the same company. Example, Gillette Fusion cannibalized the sales of 3-bladed Gillette Mark III. Many a time, corporation vigorously cannibalizes the sale of its own offerings. Whenever a company, which is leading the market, and it launches a new and improved or a better version of its product, it has no choice but to cannibalize its existing offering. A company is left with no option but to cannibalize its existing products when it is the leader in the market and it launches a new or improved version of its product. Example, the famous brand Toyota Qualis was cannibalized when Toyota launched Toyota Innova. Moving on to another example of Apple. Apple's larger iPhones were slowly killing the iPad. Apple launched the iPhone 6 in September 2014. The release of the new iPhone 6 cannibalized the sales of iPad. After the announcement of iPhone 6, the shipment of iPads went down by 23%. This happened because the new product was large enough and had a lot of iPad features without being bulky and inconvenient to carry around. The iPad suit became outdated and irrelevant. In fact, it all started in 2012 when Apple made an incremental screen size increase to 4 inches in iPhone 5. Heading consumer demands for a larger smartphone, Apple released the 4.7-inch iPhone 6 and the 5.5-inch iPhone 6 Plus in 2014. The screen of the iPhone 6 Plus then was only 2.4 inches smaller than the iPad mini. Speculation began about the possibility of latest iPhones cannibalizing the sales of iPad. Looking at the graphs here, iPhone 5s versus iPad, the iPad share was about 45%. If you move on to iPhone 6, it came down to 28%, and when the iPhone 6 Plus came out, it came down to 20%. Moving on to the example of Coca-Cola. In 2017, Diet Coke sales dropped. Its sales by volume declined in the mid-single digits. Coca-Cola discontinued selling Coke Zero in the US. Coke Zero was replaced with a Coke Zero Sugar. The new product had a new formula and a new design. After a controversial revamp of the brand, the sales of Coke Zero Sugar grew in the US. Unit case volume of Coke Zero Sugar doubled in comparison to the previous quarter. Coke Zero Sugar began to cannibalize Diet Coke and Coca-Cola's classic sales in some markets. The rise and decline in the sales of Coke Zero Sugar and Diet Coke respectively demonstrated the change of perception of health and nutrition in America. Moving forward to the example of Maruti Suzuki. India's leading passenger vehicle car, Maruti 800, cannibalized. The passenger car section raised drastically in India since the turn of the century. Maruti 800 was a leader in the segment of small cars. It countered the contrast from South Korean brand Hyundai. Maruti Suzuki Alto was launched by Maruti Suzuki in the identical subcategory as Maruti 800. This new model's introduction can be seen as a classic case of cannibalization strategy. Next, Compaq. Compaq was initially established in 1982. Its fundamental focus was to develop and sell computers and products related to it. It was the first company to reverse engineer the IBM personal computer legally. Compaq rose to fame in the 1990s. During the time, it became the largest supplier of computers. Compaq seriously toyed to compete with HP and Dell, the computing giants. It suffered immensely in the price wars. Hence, HP acquired Compaq for $25 billion in 2002. They used the brand for lower-end systems, and finally in 2013, it was discontinued by HP. So that's it, folks. This brings an end to the topic on product line cannibalization. These are some of the sources and links referred to for the content in the video. In this video, we are going to cover the topic on the technology adoption life cycle, also known as Moore's model. Let's start with the introduction. According to Geoffrey Moore, it is unsteady to embrace technology-based innovations. The life cycle of technology adoption is a model in sociology that is used to show how a new product or offering is consumed by the public. This is decided by what the demography and the psychology of the groups adopting the product are like. There are several adoption patterns between the various groups of adopters. Because of this, different marketing strategies are required. Moving further, let's look at the technology adoption lifecycle model. 5 different categories of customers are identified in Moore's model. This is based on the attitude of customers towards technology, which conforms to 5 categories. First, technology enthusiasts or innovators, which form 2.5% of the lot. Next, visionary or early adopters, which point 13.5% of the lot. And together, these are people who want the newest things or they're early in the market. Next, pragmatist or early majority, which form 34%. They want the whole product solution. After that, we have the conservatives or the late majority, again at 34%, followed by skeptics or laggards at 16%. These three together fall into the mainstream market, and these are people who want complete solution and convenience. Moving forward, whether or not a product goes past the chasm depends on the life cycle of how the technology is consumed. As stated earlier, there are 5 main sections. These are the innovator stage, the early adopter section, the early majority section, the late majority section, and the laggards. Going from early adopters to majority is the most difficult thing to do. That is the chasm that has been mentioned above. A company needs to successfully build up momentum and create a major effect. This is how a product is turned into a standard. Now let's look at each of these stages briefly along with suitable examples. Starting with technology enthusiasts, the innovators. They're essentially devoted to new technology. They receive satisfaction and utility from being the first one to enjoy new technology. Example, customers who purchase or book the new iPhone or a new Tesla model the day it is launched. Apple customers waiting for the pre-booked iPhone 12. Australian Apple users gathered in front of the flagship Apple stores amid the pandemic. They tried to be among the first to get their hands on Apple's next generation devices, the iPhone 12 and the iPhone 12 Pro models. In fact, the first person to arrive at the Apple Sydney store reached at 11:30 p.m. Moving forward, Apple's analysis team is being headed by TF International Securities, Ming-Chi Kuo. According to him, iPhone 12 pre-bookings on opening day have already crossed iPhone 11 model sales from last year in the same period. Within a day of its release, Apple iPhone 12 sales reached 2 million units. This is more than 800,000 units of Apple iPhone 11 unit sales. Moving further, visionary, early adopters. They apply new technologies to solve crises and utilize opportunities in the marketplace. Example in this case could be the OnePlus new smart TV sold out within a minute in India. OnePlus was launched as a smart TV in 2019 in India. The company released new U series and Y series Android TV for the Indian consumers in July 2020. This was the first time the 32-inch smart TV model was up for sale. All units were bought within a minute. The company made this news known to the public on their Twitter account. Next come the pragmatists, the early majority. Remember, they are 34% of the group. The phrase early majority means the first large portion of the population that buys a new release. Around 34% of the total population is made up by the early majority. They buy a product only when innovators and early adopters they know like a new release product. For instance, newly released iPhone and Tesla model are bought by consumers who buy within 3 months of their launches. Example in this case could be the Tesla model. When it was announced that customers wouldn't be getting the new Model 3 units until June 2018, Elon Musk said this on his Twitter account. Tesla website used to say deliveries begin late 2017 near the order button. This was updated to delivery estimate for new reservations mid-2018 or later. A total of 276,000 deposits for Model 3 were put down within 3 days of bookings being opened. 117,000 orders have been even before the car model was even revealed. Next come the conservatives, the late majority, and the skeptics as in laggards. Conservatives are known as late majority. They are very cynical about their capability to profit from new technology innovation. They are frequently reluctant to accept new technology. Whereas skeptics, laggards, are critics of all technology. Despite the distinct advantages of technology, they are less likely to embrace them and are late for the bus. Example, buyers of older version of iPhones. Customers buying older versions of the iPhone when a newer version is much more popular. There is a reason why people buy older version of iPhone. This is part of the laggard stage. This is because almost the entire population adopts the model and they begin to realize that the product is safe and stable. This is why we can call customers who buy iPhones a year or two after the release as laggards. Example, people who bought iPhones like the 7 or the 10 in 2020 can be called laggards. This is because these versions have been on sale since they were released in 2018. So that's it folks, this brings an end to the topic on technology adoption lifecycle. These are some of the sources and links referred to for the content in the video. In this video, we are going to cover the topic on synergy. Let's start with the introduction. The word synergy is derived from the Attic Greek word synergos. Synergos means working together. When the collective result of a job accomplished by two individuals or organizations is better than when the job is completed individually, it results in synergy. In strategic management, synergy means cooperative interaction among divisions or groups, especially among the acquired subsidiaries or merged divisions of an organization, which helps create a greater combined effect. Moving on to the types of synergy, there are two types. Let's look at the first one, corporate synergy. Corporate synergy is a monetary advantage an organization attains when it merges or goes in partnership with another organization. Corporate synergy entails four types. First, marketing synergy. The synergy ensuing from the use of market research study or scientific discovery is called marketing synergy. It could guide towards a new product, an innovation, or a new market. This in turn can result in increased sales. For example, Walmart acquired e-tailer giant Flipkart, thus entering a new market. Walmart purchased 77% of India's biggest online e-tailer Flipkart for a sum of $16 billion in 2018. The US retail giant Walmart, with an intention to match Amazon India's expansion, made this move. Moving on to the second, revenue synergy. When two companies join together for work and produce more revenue than they individually would, it's called revenue synergy. Example, Marriott International's acquisition of Starwood Hotels and Resort. Marriott International declared that it would create the world's largest hotel chain by acquiring Starwood Hotels and Resorts worldwide. This merger was finalized in 2016. The deal went down for about $13 billion. Moving forward, Starwood's Sheraton, Westin, W and St. Regis property were combined with Marriott, Courtyard and Ritz-Carlton because of this acquisition. With this acquisition, 30 hotel brands fall under the Marriott umbrella in total. The hotel chain has 5,800 properties and 1.1 million rooms in more than 110 countries. As stated by Marriott CEO, we've got an ability to offer just that much more choice. A choice in locations, a choice in the kind of a hotel, a choice in the amount a customer needs to spend. Moreover, Starwood's guest loyalty program, Starwood Preferred Guest, would also be a central strategic rationale for the transaction. Moving forward to the third, financial synergy. The synergy created between two companies through an acquisition, merger or strategic alliance is called financial synergy. Example, merger of Heinz Holding Corporation and Crafts. Crafts and Heinz entered into a merger agreement in 2015. This merger created the Kraft-Heinz company. Both the companies' board of directors unanimously approved to form a new company. This deal was valued at around $45 billion. Talking about the synergy in this case, Heinz has a global footprint. Territories other than the North America help Heinz derive almost 60% of its sales. 25% of sales are contributed by emerging economies. Whereas on the other hand, 98% of Kraft's sales are obtained from North America. Due to this amalgamation, there is a scope for Kraft's brand to sell in international market. The two companies' management declared that as they expect to save $1.5 billion in annual cost, the higher economies of scale in the North American market will bring about cost synergies. Kraft Heinz now stands as the third biggest food and beverage corporation in North America. It is the fifth largest throughout the world, and as of 2019, the company had $25 billion in annual sales. Moving on to the final, cost synergy. The synergy created by eradicating non-essential expenses of the merged business entity or the newly integrated team is called cost synergy. Example, Nokia cuts thousands of jobs after the Alcatel deal. Nokia, a telecom network gear maker, cut down thousands of jobs throughout the world in the year 2015. After it acquired Alcatel-Lucent, Nokia cut down 1,400 jobs in Germany, 1,300 in Finland as a part of the cost-cutting strategy. An all-share deal for Franco-American rival Alcatel-Lucent was cracked at $17.7 billion. After that, Nokia wanted to reduce operational expenses by $1 billion by 2018. Now moving on to the other type of synergy, that is multi-product unit synergy. When two different SBUs of a company work in conjunction and a synergy is created, it is called as a multi-product unit synergy. When a company engages in multiple service product categories, the above synergy is created. This entails three of them. First, sales synergy. The combined synergy or efforts to increase overall sales by both SBUs is called sales synergy. Next, operating synergy. Operating synergy is a kind of synergy created between two divisions of an organization. This helps the organization utilize its resources and facilities in a better manner. And finally, investment synergy. The allocation of resources that may be used in common for two services or products can be combined by companies in order to achieve synergies from investment, like the combined use of a common data center or machinery and plant. The example in this case is Facebook merging DMs for Instagram and the Messenger. In Jan 2019, Facebook announced its plan to integrate all messaging across Messenger, WhatsApp and Instagram Direct. As announced in October 2020, Instagram decided to roll out an update for Instagram by starting a new messenger experience on the app. After the update, Facebook Messenger users can reach Instagram users without the need to download the app and vice versa. Instagram DM users are also given access to more features like vanish mode, custom emoji reactions, etc. Finally, moving on to the evaluation of synergy, it entails the following. First, operational efficiency. The ability of a company to streamline its operations and pool resources is the basis of this evaluation method. Next, pricing power. The ability of a company to achieve higher pricing power gained through higher market shares and reduce competition is the basis of this evaluation. Third, economies of scale. The company's ability to increase the scale of distribution and production and reduce cost is the basis of this evaluation method. This helps the company provide its customers with greater quality products and more economical prices. Fourth, competitive advantage. The prowess of a company to compete with its rivals in the market is the basis of this evaluation method. Apart from that, a combined entity's ability to expand into new business areas and spend on R&D is also analyzed in this method. Fifth, fundraising. The ability of a company to get funds from its investors is analyzed in this method of synergy valuation. And finally, others. For instance, tax advantage, assessing growth rate, employee motivation are some of the other methods. So that's it, folks. This brings an end to the topic on synergy. These are some of the sources and links referred to for the content in the video.
In this video, we are going to cover the topic on pioneering new markets. Let's start with the introduction. The first company that establishes its presence in the market in a specific category is referred to as pioneer or first mover. Example, Netflix. Netflix commenced in 1999. It was initially a mail-order DVD service. It accelerated the dying of neighborhood film rental stores in its early days. However, its most significant move was made in 2007. It transformed itself into becoming a pioneer of online streaming. It was an advancement that turned upside down the traditional business models of the media industry. It revamped Netflix into an international powerhouse. Next example could be of Sony Walkman. The engineers at Sony successfully joined a compact playback device with lightweight headphones in the year 1978. This produced a prototype for a hit product around the world. The Walkman was launched in the Japanese market in 1979. In the initial 3 months, it sold out its full stock of 30,000 units. Even later, Sony continued to give a tough competition to its rivals. For a whole decade after its launch, despite the market being saturated with competitors, Sony Walkman maintained a 50% market share in the US and 46% in Japan. This superiority was enjoyed even though the price of Sony Walkman was approximately $20 higher than that of the rivals. The next example of iPod. The invention of MP3 player technology was nothing new to the world. Although Apple set itself apart by introducing colossal memory and a new sleek design to the technology, the first iPod by Apple was launched on 23rd October 2001. It thrived colossally due to the unique software that Steve Jobs designed. This software would let users download music from the internet straight into the product. Now moving on to the types of pioneers. First, technology pioneer. When for the first time a new technology is introduced by a company to a category of products, it's called technology pioneer. Example, Tesla creates cars like one would develop a software product. Apple developed the iPhone, or Microsoft leveraged Intel chips and Dell PCs in a different manner. In the same way, Tesla manufactures cars by producing software on novel hardware. Due to this unique approach, the company can improve the car software functionality every few weeks. This is a significant contrast to the conventional way that the auto industry model works, where the product remains the same for as long as the customer drives it. Next, product pioneer. Example in this case is Sony Walkman. That is when a brand new type of product is introduced to the world by the company, it is called a product pioneer. Third, business model pioneer. New business model is introduced by a company for the first time, it is called a business model pioneer. Example, Airbnb, a sharing economy pioneer. Arrangement for mainly homestays, lodging or tourism experience is provided by Airbnb. No real estate listing is owned by Airbnb. It does not host any events. Its function is that of a broker. Airbnb earns commissions on each booking. The original name, airbedandbreakfast.com, was shortened to form Airbnb. Now moving on to the benefits of being a pioneer in the market. First, preference formulation. A pioneer company has the option of changing customer preferences with respect to its products. Very close association is created between the customer need and the brand. Some companies have not only changed and shaped the customer's preferences, but they have attained fame with a whole new category. Example of brands who have done that: Amazon, Google, Jeep, Twitter, Facebook, and Xerox. Next, switching cost. By creating switching cost, brand loyalty can be built by pioneering companies. These costs could be monetary, functional, or psychological. Functional switching cost. This is when pioneering companies lose their unique features. Monetary loss. This is the penalty for breaking a contract for replacing equipment. And third, psychological cost. It is the cost of learning functionality of competitors' offering. Third, resource advantage. Getting scarce resources such as raw material, human resource, distributor network, and geographic location can turn out to be beneficial for a pioneer. Competitors can be kept away by pioneers if they secure exclusive access to important mineral resources. The fourth benefit, barrier to entry. Competitors can be restricted from infiltrating the market if the pioneers create technological barriers. Exclusive rights for using a particular design or invention that is important for developing products necessary for the success among a target audience can be reserved by the pioneer company. The example in this case is India's, or I would say world's leading edutech company, Byju's. Byju's is a learning app which comes under the Indian Educational Technology segment or EdTech. It was an online tutoring firm established by Baiju Ravindran in Bengaluru in 2011. With a valuation about $11.1 billion, it was the world's most valued edtech company in September 2020. Byju's claimed to have posted Rs 2,800 crores revenue in the financial year 2020. They have patented the Byju's video technology. Next benefit, learning curve. The learning curve can be beneficial to the pioneer. Accumulative output can be increased over time if pioneer companies increase their production efficiency. The longer the pioneer is in business than the competitor, the more advantage the pioneer gains in terms of level of workforce experience, better technological know-how, and production process. Now moving on to the drawbacks of being a pioneer. First, free riding. The resources, product design, regulatory approval, infrastructure development, and human resources of a pioneer can be used by a latter entrant. The product can be reverse engineered and improved by a latter entrant by investing a small amount of resources in developing the original product. Example, Compaq. Compaq legally reverse engineered IBM's BIOS software and licensed MS-DOS from Microsoft. In India, in the very first year, they sold more than $50 million worth of these computers. Next, incumbent inertia. Market opportunities and technological opportunities are left open for customers by the market leader. The unwillingness to cannibalize existing product lines through the adoption of new business models for new technology can lead to incumbent inertia. Example, Nokia failed to grasp the software concept. Nokia was a leader in mobile phones in the late 1990s and early 2000s throughout the globe. The profits shot through the roof. People eventually understood that not voice but data is the future of communication. That is when there was an arrival of companies who focused on the internet. Soon the glory days of Nokia ended. In 2013, Microsoft acquired the hardware division of Nokia. Tanya Gleason in a TechCrunch article said that Nokia did not comprehend the concept of software. It did not accept the idea of formulating an ecosystem around apps either. They focused on hardware and got stuck at the stage. Because of its reluctance to switch from a focus on hardware to software is what doomed the company and left them way behind in the race. And third, market uncertainty. A significant drawback of being the market pioneer is market uncertainty, which is related to the offering. Uncertain consumer preferences, uncertain demands, and uncertain technological surroundings are dealt with by pioneers since they are the first to enter the market. Everything has to be developed from scratch by the pioneer, which is not the case with followers since the data is readily available to make their model. One of the final examples in this case is of Kodak. Kodak made the colossal mistake of clasping onto analog camera instead of moving quickly to digital. Due to all its resources, Kodak had a very early start with digital cameras. Before digital cameras took over analog in 2002, Kodak was aware of the technology for almost 20 years by then. Steve Sasson was the Kodak engineer who invented the original digital camera in 1975. According to him, people inside the company reacted to the new invention by saying, "That's cute, but don't tell anyone about it." He was incapable of persuading anyone in Kodak of the power and potential of his invention. Shortly, Sony and others released affordable digital cameras and Kodak lost its chance. The organization ignored the warnings and later Kodak filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in 2012. So that's it, folks. This brings an end to the topic on pioneering new markets. These are some of the sources and links referred to for the content in the video.
In this video, we are going to cover the topic on international marketing. What is international marketing? Marketing carried out across national boundaries is called international marketing. It is a marketing carried out across the national frontiers. When the national frontiers are crossed by a country to market its products, it is indulging in international marketing. Policy, method, and execution of marketing activities in the international arena is referred to as international marketing. Examples of companies who have a widespread business in the international markets: Coca-Cola in 200 countries, Netflix available in 193 countries, Airbnb 220 plus countries, McDonald's having their chain of restaurants in 119 countries, Walmart 27 countries, Starbucks 70 countries, and Facebook almost worldwide, except certain countries like mainland China, Iran, Syria, and North Korea. Some of the features of international marketing are: first, large-scale operations; second, dominance of MNCs in developed countries; third, international trade restrictions; fourth, presence of trading blocs; fifth, foreign exchange regulation; sixth, three-phased competition; seventh, international marketing research. Moving on to the benefits of international marketing. First, better standard of living. People in different countries are provided with a better standard of living. International marketing also raises their welfare by providing goods that cannot be manufactured in their country. It assists in production on a large scale. It also generates employment chances in several countries. By bringing income to the people, it gives a higher standard of living. Next, optimum use of resources. It aids in the best use of resources. Excess in resources or production can be exported to other countries. Third, quick industrial development. Developing countries receive technology, aid, and capital goods from developed countries. The developing nations supply labor and raw materials to the developed nations. Industrial development creates massive job opportunities for people. Next, helps in lowering prices. Due to specialization, international marketing reduces the price of products and services worldwide. The comparative cost advantage in a particular product that the country has can be shared by other participating countries. Next, no monopolistic exploitation. There is no exploitation of customers due to a monopoly by any domestic producers. This is because of international marketing. It is tough to exploit one country by another country, as many sellers exist in international markets. Next, availability of foreign exchange. Foreign exchange is earned by a country due to exports. The same foreign exchange is used to pay essential imports. Foreign exchange is used for import of modern technology, capital goods, and other crucial requirements. International marketing thus assists in easy availability of foreign exchange. Next, it also helps in expansion of tertiary sector. Industrial development is initiated through international marketing by boosting exports. Expansion exists in the tertiary sectors like transport, shipping activities, banking, and insurance. And finally, it also helps in the removal of deficit. Removal of deficit in the balance of trade is enabled by international marketing. It also helps in the payment of participating nations through export promotion and import substitution. Now let's move on to the challenges in international marketing. The first challenge is huge foreign indebtedness. Many companies have massive foreign debts. Countries like Brazil, Mexico, Indonesia, and Kenya are in tremendous debt. Next, issues with foreign exchange. The value of a country's currency decreases as a result of economic instability and high indebtedness. Next, foreign government entry regulations and bureaucracy. Regulations can be placed on foreign firms by the local government. Example, large number of locals would need to be employed. They may need a joint venture where the majority share might go to the domestic partner, transfer of technology, and finally a barrier on profit repatriation. That is, taking away the profit from the host country to the home country, there will be a limit on that. Next, tariff and other trade barriers. The measures and policies placed by the government which hinder the unrestricted flow of goods and services across national borders are trade barriers. High tariffs are often imposed by governments to protect their industries. Invisible trade barriers like slowing down necessary approvals may be exercised. Next, the aspect of corruption. The one practice that is common in all parts of the world is corruption. It is now an international phenomenon. Foreign investors are discouraged from expanding operations due to bribery. Next, technological pirating. Technological pirating is mimicking the original technology and making identical products. It also involves imitating other sectors of business operation. It is a common practice in numerous developed and developing nations. Next, the challenge of transit. One of the difficulties in international marketing is transportation. A common problem among exporters is the availability of seaports and flights. And finally, the challenge of the target group. Consumers across different countries have different tastes and inclination. There are also cultural boundaries and language problems. Let's look at the steps which are under the process of international marketing. First, the company has to assess the international marketing environment. The next decision is to enter the international market. Third, determining which market to enter or which country to enter. After that, choosing how to enter, as in the methods to enter the international market. Post that comes the authorizing the marketing mix, as in the 4 P's. What would be the product, the pricing strategy, the distribution strategy, and the promotion strategy. And finally, agreeing on the marketing control. Next, and finally, methods of entering international market. There are many methods. Let's look at some of them briefly. The first is exports. For example, Apple is reportedly planning to move its production capacity to India from China. It may want to move almost 1/5 of its iPhone and other electronics production capacity. Apple is aiming at producing iPhones worth $40 billion through its contractors in India. The three contractors in India are Foxconn, Pegatron and Wistron. So Apple would assemble their phones in India and export it worldwide from India. Next comes licensing. Example, the Coca-Cola company has 13 licensed bottling partners in India. They are approved to assemble, package, sell and distribute beverages under the company's banner. Third, franchising. By the end of 2019, roughly 36,000 out of 39,000 restaurants were franchised. That comes up to a humorous size share of 93% of the total McDonald's restaurant. Fourth, mergers and acquisition. Pfizer and Allergan announced their merger in November 2015. This resulted in the creation of the world's biggest drug company by sales. The deal value of the joint company was about $160 billion. Fifth, joint ventures. Example, Sony Mobile Communication was founded on October 1st, 2001. It is a multinational telecom company and a joint venture between Sony and Ericsson and is wholly owned by Sony. Its headquarters are in Tokyo, Japan. Later on, Feb 2012, Sony acquired Ericsson's share in the venture. Sixth, strategic alliance. For example, Uber has partnered with Spotify. This allowed users to connect their Spotify accounts and stream their favorite music while riding in an Uber. Seventh, wholly owned subsidiaries. Example, HUL or Hindustan Unilever Limited is a consumer goods company based in India. It has headquarters in Mumbai, India. It's a subsidiary of a British company, Unilever. It includes fast-moving goods like personal care products, food, beverages, water purifier, cleaning agents, etc. Eighth, contract manufacturing. Wistron, Foxconn and Pegatron are three contract manufacturers of Apple in India. And finally 9, the method of turnkey projects. Suzlon is leading in India as a renewable energy solutions provider. They offer their customers turnkey solution and lifelong support package. These offered solutions and packages encompass the whole range of wind energy projects. So that's it folks, this brings an end to the topic on international marketing. These are some of the sources and links referred to for the content in the video.
In this video, we are going to cover the topic on strategic sourcing. Let's start with what is strategic sourcing. Strategic sourcing is the process that identifies the spending profile of a business and its suppliers. This ensures that the organization's requirements and that of the suppliers are aligned. Strategic sourcing is a process that constantly reevaluates and enhances a business's buying activities. It is an institutional procurement process. It brings all activities within the procurement cycle into traditional purchasing activities. Strategic sourcing creates supply channels not just at the lowest purchase price, but at the lowest total cost. Moving on, why is strategic sourcing important? First, higher degree of cost savings. The most obvious advantage that organizations get from strategic sourcing is that the cost savings are improved. Firms have to seek out and select suppliers, deliver the best value at the correct price. This lets the firm get increasingly higher cost savings. Next, lowers the risk involved. Strategic sourcing lowers the risk in the supply chain beyond the compliance checks. Sometimes, organizations have a pre-vetting process. It checks the financial stability of a supplier along with its corporate responsibility. However, there are larger risks involved that go beyond Tier 1 suppliers. Next, business and sourcing objectives are better aligned. Sourcing in an organization and the organizational goals have to be aligned. This is the heart of strategic sourcing. Firms that are better aligned perform better in business. Supply chain risks are low and they are more efficient. Next, ideal suppliers are optimized. Analysis of a supplier's core ability, their profiles, etc. are important. This allows strategic sourcing to be applied in a business. Once this is done, the business has information that lets it align their goals with their ideal suppliers. Next, relationships with suppliers are built in the long run. Strategic sourcing helps an organization build long-term relationship with its suppliers. A long-term relationship shows suppliers that they are important and taken into account in many sourcing decisions. Strategic sourcing encourages them to perform at their peak and achieve their goals. Next, strategic sourcing steps. First, assessment of spending. A business's present spending amount should be assessed. Questions like what, where, at what price is something bought should be asked. Next, market research. Market research should be conducted. The supplier's market should be studied. The question, who offers what, should be asked. Next, find out cost. Total cost should be analyzed. The question, how much does it cost to provide those goods or services, should be asked. Next, find suppliers. Ideal suppliers should be identified. Then on, build a sourcing strategy.
There should be a sourcing strategy in place. A question to be asked: where should things be bought? Costs and risk should be lowered while taking demand and supply into consideration. Next, negotiate. A few things should be negotiated with suppliers, such as payment terms, geographical coverage, prices, service level, products, etc. Next in line, make a new supply chain. A brand new supply structure should be put in place. And finally, repeat. Results should be noted down and the assessment restarted. In other words, it is a continuous cycle. The difference between strategic sourcing versus traditional sourcing. There is one major difference between traditional sourcing and strategic sourcing. The former, as in traditional sourcing, stresses on supplier pricing, while strategic sourcing has grown into a process that is ever-changing. Cost is only one aspect of corporate hierarchy of needs. Others include regulatory compliance, innovation, quality service, and assurance of supply. None of these can be compromised for a lower price. Finally, let's look at the examples of strategic sourcing. First, IKEA, India. IKEA has been sourcing from India for its global operation for close to 35 years. It is working with around 60 suppliers and 400,000 people in the supply chain. IKEA has also been working with social entrepreneurs and engaging close to 1,200 local artisans who are making special collections for their global stores. Next, China. IKEA's supply chain in China represents 38% of its global productivity in volume. From its entry in China 30 years ago, IKEA has grown into a company with product development, production and retail, owning 30 retail outlets and more than 400 furniture and home furnishing suppliers and service providers on the Chinese mainland, creating nearly 1 million jobs. Next, Walmart India. Walmart has been working with Indian suppliers for 15 plus years. India is already one of Walmart's top sourcing markets with annual exports worth $3 billion. India-made apparel, homeware, jewelry, hardlines and other popular products currently reach customers in 14 markets, including US, Canada, Mexico, Central America and UK, via Walmart's global sourcing office in Bengaluru, which opened in 2002. In 2020, Walmart decided to source $10 billion worth of Indian-made goods each year by 2027. Walmart's new export goal is to give a massive boost to micro and small medium-sized enterprises in India. There are simultaneous efforts going on like the Flipkart Samarth and the Walmart Vriddhi supplier development programs. The aim is to enable 50,000 MSMEs to make in India. This will be made for global and domestic supply chains over a period of 5 years. Next, McDonald's. Investments are put into farming communities. McDonald's is putting resources into programs that support the livelihood of farmers. It's forging alliances with expert groups and suppliers. When it comes to coffee, McDonald's launched the McCafe Sustainability Improvement Platform in partnership with Conservation International and coffee roasters. McCafe SIP is a framework for long-term investments in coffee growers and their community. McCafe SIP is currently active in 5 countries across South and Central America, reaching nearly 6,000 farms as of 2019. McDonald's trains these farmers and gives them resources, tools and technical assistance, and also helps in evaluation and measurement. Next, McDonald's local sourcing. McDonald's works in close connection with local producers and farmers in markets worldwide. The ingredients for some of their most famous menu items come through this method. Example, in Romania, the egg muffin is made with eggs sourced in Romania. Next, cheeseburgers in Brazil use beef, produce, cheese, buns and even ketchup supplied exclusively by Brazilian producers. And in Argentina, the buns and lettuce in the McPolo sandwich come from Argentinian producers. So that's it folks, this brings an end to the topic on strategic sourcing. These are some of the sources and links referred to for the content in the video.
In this video, we are going to cover the topic on organic growth. Now let's start with the definition of organic growth. Organic business growth stems from businesses the firm already runs. It excludes incomes from acquiring or merging with new businesses. Firms strategize such growth through organic growth planning. There can be many things that cause organic business growth. More customers might start buying from the firm. A newly launched service or product can result in greater income. It might start producing more units. Organic growth can also happen over time thanks to an investment at the start of the duration. On the other hand, income through mergers and acquisitions with another firm is considered to be inorganic growth. Foreign exchange is also not taken into account for organic growth. Moving on to organic growth strategies. First, firm can try and produce more and thus increase sales. For this, it has to boost its manufacturing capacity. Next, they can scale up operations at home and abroad. Moving on, they can start exporting to foreign economies. They can build robust indicators that are simple to interpret. Next, firms can launch new line of products or coming up with innovations in services and products or the business model helps. Firms can also invest in things that boost growth and income, example, high earning goods. And finally, firms can focus on a niche section of the industry. This can help it boost profits and prices. Moving on to organic growth advantages. The growth takes place at a manageable pace. It improves the strength of the existing businesses. This can be customer base, brand value, etc. Profits made can be relocated to boost organic growth. Organic growth is also safer when compared to inorganic growth or external growth, such as takeovers. Moving on to the disadvantages of organic growth. Organic growth does not make it easier to run franchises. Organic growth happens at a slow pace that shareholders may not like. A dominant firm might find it challenging to expand the market share. Moving on to measuring organic growth. Companies measure their organic growth every quarter or year. They calculate how much their revenue has grown and what it is at now. This is the yardstick of measuring organic growth. Firms have many ways to boost organic growth. It can launch innovative products. It can try and train its employees to be better at customer interactions. Firms can also invest more in marketing their products. Shareholders keep an eye on organic growth. They see if firms can outperform themselves in the coming year. They can thus decide to retain the investments or invest somewhere else. Moving on to the difference between organic and inorganic growth. Organic growth involves scaling up by using already available resources. These can be relationships, experience, information, the skill set of employees, etc. It basically happens in one or two ways. The customer base expands or the present customer starts buying more. Organic growth shows that a firm is growing in the long run. It is dedicated to the businesses it already runs. Therefore, it is seen as a positive for the firm. On the other hand, mergers, acquisitions, and takeovers lead to inorganic growth. This is because they increase the scale and operation and income in a short span. Inorganic growth can lead to branding issues. Brands have to be systematically tied into each other. One of the most famous examples of inorganic growth is Facebook. Facebook, till date, has acquired more than 90 different ventures over the last 10 years. And finally, looking at examples of organic growth. First, Walmart with over 30,000 stores all over the world. Then McDonald's with about 32,000 stores all over the world through its franchising model. Next, IKEA. Then comes Starbucks. Domino's Pizza. The firm also has about 1,000 stores in India itself. And chain with among the largest stores in the world, Subway. Most of the brands mentioned have taken the franchising route and have grown organically.
So that's it, folks. This brings an end to a comprehensive take on the subject of strategic management. Do subscribe to our channel where you'll witness such videos daily. Thank you and stay tuned for more videos.